not just random white people. We're people who all had an interest in this. There's already that really strong bond beyond just our universal shared heritage with, any other white person would have the same, but we're kind of from the same community online, largely.
In the mountains of Arkansas, a former French horn player in a Chinese orchestra is building a town with no blacks, Jews, Indians, Mexicans, or gays.
I've seen what happens when rural white towns get overrun with people who are not from there.
Look at people who aren't glad to be who they are. Go on hormone blockers. They seek to change their identity. Maybe you become a furry if you're really zesty.
Who followed him here?
What happened?
What do they hope to accomplish? We went to find out.
How about stop attacking me? And maybe I won't be so anti-Semitic.
Oh my
Our
God.
tour to the whites-only town started in Zinc, home to the KKK's headquarters, 2 hours to the west. After shooting a video there, which is coming next month, so subscribe so you don't miss it, we drove east to where the cell service stopped and a dirt road began.
Okay.
At the end, we found Return to the Land.
Return to the land.
America was settled through the founding of self-sufficient, intentional communities. But after the end of segregation, the expansion of non-white immigration, the broader society no longer felt like a home for traditional Americans. RTTL, Return to the Land, is a private association founded to allow Americans who value their history and heritage to form communities around these values.
Eric is the founder of this
Okay.
whites-only community, which has grown to 40 people. He's also a major online figure.
All right, hello everyone. I'm here with Nick Fuentes today. With diversity, we've forgotten how
Clayton
to
Bigsby is the
interact
mayor.
with each other because there are people from all around the world in your communities. No one knows how to get along anymore.
We had a fascinating conversation with Eric.
Even in mostly white towns, people aren't exactly pro-white. We're kind of beaten down with the history of slavery and oppression, and I don't want that stuff passed on to my kids.
But before that, he took us around, introducing us to the residents who shared why they had moved here. We first met his ex-wife and current wife, Caitlin and Allison, who are residents.
In coming here, is it more about finding a traditional rural lifestyle, or is it about the racial component? It's whites only, European heritage.
Well, for me, I grew up in a mostly white area anyway. I think it was more the homesteading aspect for me. I've seen what happens when rural white towns get overrun with people who are not from there, and it usually does kind of result in chaos. So living in a place where I can be sure that that's not going to happen is a level of comfort for me.
I like that we can vet our neighbors here. I mean, you can move anywhere in the country, but you have no idea what it's going to be like in 10 years. I like letting my kids go out and play. They're not going to get run over or snatched by someone.
When I was exposed to more multicultural places, it was, cities that felt more dangerous, and it was just out of my comfort zone, and people didn't seem as friendly.
I mean, just look at the crime statistics here versus New York City.
I was very liberal at one point. And, being targeted because of the color of my skin and called racist for things that had nothing to do with skin color really kind of opened my eyes to how other people view white people. Well, it was harder to, establish good rapport with people who didn't seem interested in having good rapport with me.
Day-to-day life here, what's it like? What do you do?
So obviously you can see that our house is not built yet. So we live in a town nearby right now, and it's just kind of slow, boring, lazy, rural Arkansas life. Not a lot going on. You just do what you need to do day to day, play with the kids, whatever.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to see if there's been any updates or evolution specifically of apparently what was going on via the first video that we saw from this returning to the land group of people here, guys. I still don't care. All right. Listen, if you want to go live in the middle of the Ozarks, middle of nowhere, where you have no cell service and all your roads are made out of dirt, live your best life. Right. I want you to be happy how you want to be happy. That's it here. If you want to go in a planned community, all your things. I love that for you. Right. I don't see how, I don't even know what the response is to this. Is the response crazy? Because again, I don't really I work kind of on social media, let's say, but I don't really pay attention to social media. So I don't know if the responses are crazy to this here, or people are like, yes, I don't know which way to go here. Technically, that's why I create my own opinions here. So when I say I don't care, I don't care. I don't want to live here. Nope, at all. It's fine, bro. Live your best life. I want you to be happy. You can give all the excuses why you want to live in the Ozarks, but all right.
These residents either don't work remotely, or in nearby towns. They're building their own homes.
I can see that, Viper. I can see that.
One resident, Scott, originally from Massachusetts, told us that this was essentially an online community that had taken shape in real life.
If I go somewhere and, signs aren't in English, people that I don't recognize, I don't know anything about their culture. They dress different, they act different, they speak different languages. I don't know how I'm ever gonna bond with those people. It's alien to me, I moved down here because I liked the project. It was nice being around people that I could just talk to. Couldn't really talk to my neighbors where I was at. I mean, I could, but I didn't necessarily agree with them politically on things. I like being around these people, so wanted to buy land with them.
Yeah. Jonathan, a truck driver from North Dakota, spoke of saving white culture.
We believe God made the entire world. We believe it is everyone's responsibility to uphold what God has given them. But this is what God has given us. Look at people who aren't glad to be who they are, right? Like they go on hormone blockers. They seek to change their identity. Maybe you become a furry if you're really zesty. I wish that they had been taught to love themselves as how God created them, to embrace themselves, not taught that they were the enemy of every story. Oh, everything about you, like all of your immutable characteristics come from people who are evil and committed these genocides. And did you ever study the Crusades? Don't forget the Salem witch trials. And it's like, mate, like I can't change who I am or how I was born.
One thing you hear is like, it'd be un-American to punish people for the sins of their fathers, right? Like to punish you for slavery or punish me, for slavery, like that's not American. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way we're supposed to live. Yeah, on the other hand, to elevate ourselves because of our heritage, because of, say, what white people accomplish, because of Mozart and Bach. Mm-hmm. Would that not just be the other side of the same coin?
I will disagree on that point, because Beethoven and Bach are way better than like Diddy and Pac. It's not because it's like, oh, I am better because some German produced a great piece of music 300 years ago. I don't think anyone thinks that way. Like if you say that these things are equal, these cultures have produced an equal product and effect over the course of 300 years, I know you're lying, and even you know you're lying.
I'd say most sensible people wouldn't say, that like Nicki Minaj and Beethoven are comparable, right? I'd say like take like your kind of middle of the road conservative American. I think that they probably think that they're like, obviously Beethoven is better than Nicki Minaj. Obviously there's Bach is better than Tupac.
Do you think that's true when they're playing like Nicki Minaj and rap music at Republican rallies? When's the last time they've played Beethoven at a Republican rally?
The question is, why not emphasize that Americanness? Why emphasize the skin tone-ness? I think the average person wouldn't say, we did this. Because at this point, it's like they've been in America, maybe like their grandfather came from Italy, their grandmother came from France, their other grandfather came from Spain, their other grandmother came from Portugal. And they're white, but like in their skin color. And beyond the skin color, there's not much there to link them to a civilization, to a white culture, to white achievement.
Great
just that they have to be born like this.
The question is, what is under attack? We are able to observe attacks on our people. We are justified in feeling a little bit of like by proxy attack. When they tear down the 5th, the 4th, the 18th statute of one of our ancestors, they're actually symbolically attacking us as a people. We feel attacked, our women feel attacked, our children feel attacked, and it takes us men to actually say it out loud. If I go to Memphis, Tennessee and walk around...
Why would you go to Memphis, Tennessee? That's it. That's all I have to ask. That's my question. Why would you specifically go to Memphis, Tennessee? Why? I mean, I get what he's doing here. He's using it as an example for a place that is, I think, probably more so majority non-white, I'm guessing, right? But why would you, who goes to Memphis, Tennessee on purpose? I don't know, guys.
An Orange Mound. I will be attacked. Mound? And for no other purpose than I'm the wrong person that wasn't supposed to be there.
Why would you go there?
So if you're enjoying this video, please subscribe. Our mission at Roka News is to capture the world without bias or fear. That's what we're trying to do with this video and everything else we make. Also, if you're enjoying this video, consider becoming a Roka member. You can scan the QR code on the screen, and this will take you to become one. Right now, it's our Black Friday sale, 50% off. Every single morning, members get one email to their inbox with original reporting from our team or a story that breaks down one of the biggest topics in the news. So thank you for watching, and back to the video. What united all these people with Eric, the undisputed leader, is a sense that white people have been tricked into hating themselves.
Millions of young Americans, if they could choose, would eliminate their own race. They would intentionally not have white children so that their race, their skin color, they think, will not be perpetuated. If that's the ideology that you've accepted, that being white is bad itself, being who you are, what you were born as is bad, then what's your...
Bro, I live in an area where, like, I am probably one of the 3, maybe 4 people who have my skin tone, right? I know a lot of white people. Okay. So I'm just trying to understand, like, what are you talking about right now? I know that there's like a small subsect of people generally that they're going to be in like gigantic cities and things like that, who may like feel like some self-loathing for things that their ancestors may have particularly, done or just been in proximity to, let's just say this year. Right. But what does that have to do with anything? Right. Like, you are not your great grandfather. You are not your great great grandmother. Like, I am not my grandfather. I am me, right? I think more people need to kind of understand that, right? But there are some people who just hate themselves. I get that. That makes sense, right? But I wouldn't suspect that it's everyone that is not going to partake in this community, if that makes any sense here, right? I don't think it's not everyone. Like I said, I'm around a lot of white people generally. That's like my day-to-day thing. I go to the store. I'm like the only person who looks like me in like every store I go to, bro. All right. But I hear you. And I don't really see that as the reasoning here. I don't see that. I see people are going to be people, right? People are going to be people. I think that he's like absolutely stuck within his echo chamber. He truthfully believes every single thing that he says is a factual statement. And to the point where they went and purchased all of these hundreds of acres, I'm guessing, right? In the middle of nowhere to get away from people. Listen, again, I want you to be happy. Live your life. Exist how you want to exist, right? But I don't think that is the majority thought process, specifically when it comes to people of European descent, let's say.
Your self-concept going to be?
Eric is a classically trained musician who performed with Shen Yun, the Chinese dance troupe you've seen advertised in your city.
Okay.
He says classical music helped push him toward white nationalism.
What was your path from being a musical performer with the Chinese ballet troupe to being here running a whites-only community?
So obviously I didn't have the exact same beliefs back then. Also, I still wanted to make it in the classical music world, so from that perspective, a job's a job. It was mostly conversations online, becoming more familiar with crime statistics, racial IQ differences, scientific study.
I would love to compare IQs with him.
Persuaded me that this isn't something that can just be overridden by a little bit of liberalism and equality and government programs. We will always have these long-lasting, deep differences between different peoples. Instead of structuring society as if that was not the case, we should probably structure society and make choices based on that reality.
How would you like to see our society structured differently from the way it currently is as a whole?
I think it can actually be more pluralistic and more successful. I think more power should be given to local communities, whether they be homogeneous like ours, or whether they're more integrated racially, culturally, etc.
Okay, I agree on that.
White culture, about white heritage that makes you proud of being white?
I do think our musical traditions are exceptional. That by itself doesn't mean that we're the superior civilization, but I think we should take pride in what we have done well. But it's not about just how smart are you, it's also how willing you are to challenge established beliefs.
You're talking about a willingness to ask questions and this.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with skin tone, though?
Of European culture. Other people would say it's a racial genetic difference. What do you think?
I would say there's a feedback cycle between the culture of a people and who they are genetically. During the medieval period, criminals were executed at really, really high rates. And so those problematic genes that were more prone to violence and theft and things like that, they were kind of weeded out of our population. And that didn't happen equally around the globe. Also, what is celebrated? If you celebrate individuality and individual accomplishment, then in the sexual marketplace, different things will be valued and sought after.
Speaking of the sexual marketplace, in a past life, Eric made porn, something he attributed to a nihilist phase.
Those videos were out there. It's regrettable that I ever engaged in that behavior. I wasn't a Christian at the time. Actually, I was a self-described moral nihilist. Most people rely on their common sense. You know, I've always kind of relied on my beliefs. And at the time, I believed in moral nihilism. That's the hazard. If you are like too intellectual, you abstract things. I converted to Christianity, left that behind me. And it was more than 10 years ago now, so it is what it is.
Eric now identifies as Christian, but a kind of nihilism remains. He believes America's culture and economy are collapsing, that there's a conspiracy to make whites hate themselves, and that politics won't fix it.
What do you think about Nick
Okay,
Fuentes?
wait.
Conspiracy to make whites hate themselves, and that politics won't fix it.
Okay, hold on. I want to see this. I want to see what this says here, guys. Okay, that's what I. So good.
What do you think about Nick Fuentes? Do you think he's the highest profile figure who kind of aligns with your views, or where does he fit into the way you see things?
You look at me like I have 3 heads. All I'm saying is minorities are really obnoxious.
I align with a lot of his perspectives. Ideologically, I would say we're mostly aligned. So apparently I am now dead to Nick Fuentes. This is because I privately DM'd him, asking for clarification on his stance on birthright citizenship.
If you have citizenship, if you were born in this country, this is your birthright.
I wanted clarification from Nick before I defended him publicly.
Eric Arval is DMing me saying, "Are you against birthright citizenship?" in DMs. Really? F you. You're dead to me.
I'm very pessimistic that they could ever achieve meaningful change from the top down. And with people like Nick Fuentes leading the Republican Party in the future, you're not going to have a lot of non-white people in the Republican Party being very enthusiastic about it, because it'll be seen as the party of white people, because Nick Fuentes identifies as pro-white. He says the country should be normatively white. Would I personally prefer that? Yeah, because it's what the country was when my ancestors came here. It's what, you know, my bloodline thought it was signing up for. We have, in the meantime, invited a lot of people in. It is baked into the cake. We're going to have a multicultural society. So the best that we can do is have a government that respects the rights of all these different groups to go their own way and have their own peaceful communities.
Eric's answer is to create a separate world and let the rest go its own way. To avoid anti-discrimination lawsuits, the community is structured as a private club where members apply and get a plot of land if accepted.
So Return to the Land is our private membership association, and that exists for people of European heritage who want to preserve that heritage through intentional communities. We chose to do an LLC, and then all of the residents here, they buy shares in that company, so we all collectively own the land together through that company. Getting into the PMA, that is Return to the Land itself, is relatively straightforward and easy. You fill out the application, you do an interview, and then you sign an agreement and you're in, and then you're in our chats online. You can organize with people. If you wanted to buy into this community, you would have to come down here, spend a couple days with us, get to know us, and then the members collectively would kind of make that call. Do we want this person in the community or not? And I think the acceptance rate is something like 50%.
Eric is explicitly not a segregationist, and he doesn't call for removing minorities from America.
So I don't think that segregation should be forced, and I don't think that integration should be forced.
Which is to say the way it was in the South, say 60 years ago.
That was government-enforced segregation in many cases, and I don't think we should, that's not the role of the government, in my opinion.
Rather, he's just given up on integration and says societies are better off living in their own bubbles.
I actually believe in the literal sense of multiculturalism. Different cultural groups can coexist in one political framework, and there are many historical examples of that. Assimilate into what as well? What is the overarching American culture that people are supposed to join? We don't have a national language or religion.
Right.
We have always been multicultural. I think it's in keeping with our tradition of being tolerant and free as a society that we can embrace different communities going their own way.
While critics say Return to the Land is anti-black, its founders are far more focused on Jews. Eric and his co-founders' X accounts are filled with posts alleging that Jews control the U.S. and are responsible for the anti-white agenda.
I've never heard a Jewish person look back on their history and say, we shouldn't have done this in Weimar Germany, or we shouldn't have pushed for this in the United States, or maybe we're trying to interfere too much in the affairs of other people. I'm not saying they're guilty for all things or they're the source of all evils in the world, but there does tend to be a very one-sided perspective where they expect us to always have guilt and always to think badly of our own history, but they cannot for a moment entertain that the Jewish community has been hostile or detrimental to our society.
We draw very different lessons.
I mean, I saw this coming, like by default, right? Like by the default, I knew this was good. I knew this was coming.
From what happened in Europe in the 40s. Where I draw from it that the lesson is the Holocaust and the killing of millions of Jews. And had this stuff not happened, had we not had, the US and England do what they did, all the Jews in Europe would have been eliminated, and many Slavs would have been made subservient to the Aryans, and other groups would be gone, homosexuals, disabled people. Whereas you draw a very different lesson.
I think a lot of guilt has been put on the Germans in the middle of the century. I think a lot of the kind of fantastical fears of what the Nazis would have done if we didn't intervene are unfounded. The Jewish community, they don't want me or anyone else alleging crimes on their part, but they're perfectly comfortable alleging every ill motive in the book onto the Nazis. I think a lot of it is motivated by wartime propaganda because the victors write the histories. I have no intention of ever attacking a Jewish group. On the other hand, Jewish groups have condemned us. Jewish journalists have written hit pieces on us. We're minding our own business. I've done nothing to these people. So if they are afraid of me being anti-Semitic, how about stop attacking me? And maybe I won't be so anti-Semitic.
On the one hand, Return to the Land is minding its own business in a remote community deep in the Ozarks. Yet on the other, Eric is a major online figure who leads a movement that blames Jews for what he says is the plight of the white race in the US today. His language is reminiscent of the stab in the back theory, which blamed the Jews for Germany's loss in World War I and led to the Nazis' rise. Regardless, though, Eric's focus is not on World War II or the 1930s. It's on the future, where he hopes to build a place in the Ozarks that preserves white culture for his children's generation.
Got it.
You're envisioning, based on everything I've read on your website and everything, that this will be the first of numerous communities like this.
Right.
So what's your vision for Return to the Land 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now?
Well, we're not a political organization. We're not seeking political change. We are just trying to give white Americans the option of having their own communities if that's what they want.
Hey, bro, your Jeep Cherokee specifically, right, was made in Mexico, right?
I think a lot of people do show with their demonstrated preferences where they choose to live, how they choose to associate, that they do actually value their identity. But you can get in trouble with your employer or sometimes in legal trouble if you say that explicitly and openly. So if we are doing something political there, it is trying to normalize white Americans embracing their own identity if that's what they choose, just like Black Americans do, Jewish Americans do, other groups do it.
On the one hand, these people were all minding their own business in the woods and weren't bothering anyone.
Basically.
While they hope to expand out west and elsewhere, they're more focused on building their utopia than reshaping America.
Okay, guys. Okay, I get it. Listen, again, I'm glad that he's out there, right? I think that there is, oh gosh, guys, this is weird. This is a wild one here. I personally would have no interest in living in this area, right? So it's fine that if there's someone that does, they're living their best life. If they want to create like some cult for the most part based off of like race-based issues or perceived race-based issues, then live your best life. Again, they're there. They're away from like the rest of us, right? That's it. That's it. They're there. I have no interest, right? That's it. That's fine. You said they wouldn't let me. That's fine too. They have no cell phone signal, so I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay. There just seem to be like a lot of excuses, guys, right? More like victim than I would have imagined that they would have, specifically the main character here, the main guy here. Like, listen, are people targeted exclusively? Like, is it hard for like a white guy to be able to say something Generally, yeah, that's true. But is it like everyone, guys? Or does everyone have that opinion? It's just that, guys, no one I'm around. But again, my evidence is going to be anecdotal because it's just not the case. Um, like my personal experience here, right? But I don't know. If that's the case, then I get it, right? But I don't think it's everybody, bro. Right? Not enough to move to the middle of the woods, bro. But live your best life. Live your best life. That's all I have to say to that, guys. I mean, yeah, chronically online. I can see that. Yeah, Viper. I doubt it, right? Um, chronically online, talking crazy on the internet. He thinks that the internet is real life. Like, guys, whatever political ideology you may have, for example, when you're online, you're like super like tight kind of within it. And then you go out into the public, right? And then now all of a sudden you're talking to everyone, specifically people who you would never talk to online because their political ideology may be different. Guys, online life is not real. And I think we've kind of gotten to the point where everyone thinks or perceives that the echo chamber that they are kind of within online is the reality. It's not, guys. You can say whatever you want to say to someone online. You can say, I hate this group of people, blah, 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 blah. But when you go into public, it's going to be the exact opposite. I think that is kind of the point we need to kind of bring home these days, at least. Whatever that echo chamber is that you're attempting to sustain specifically, you have the ability to escape it. Right. And you do escape it on a daily basis when you go outside and deal with the public. Because like I know, you are a different person on the internet than you are in public. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies. And I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings. And we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry, right? Listen, like and subscribe.